My first knowledge of any abuse was in November of 2020. And Susie called me and said there had been an incident at my granddaughter's preschool. And she told me that something had happened where a little boy touched her and her friend.
So the night my child told me, that evening, it would have been around 5:30ish in the evening, when my daughter told me, I called. I was in shock, asked her a few questions, and I called Joanie for help. And I said, I'm going to go to the police. And she said, no, bring her to me tomorrow morning, and then we'll go to the school.
I was there, and Susie actually called me to go there.
Okay, so the word about you covering up, there's no truth to that.
You know, when I started hearing that, I thought to myself, what am I covering up? I've covered up nothing.
Right.
And so I never covered up anything.
The Colleyville Police Department in Texas has wrapped up its investigation into claims that a family member, known publicly as Pete, sexually abused the granddaughter of Daystar Television Network's co-founder and president, Joanie Lamb. After looking into the allegations, authorities decided not to press charges against Pete. Daystar Television shared the news on X Wednesday.
Daystar Television Network media statement. Closing of Colleyville Police Department investigation May 14, 2025. Following a comprehensive investigation, Daystar learned through counsel today that Colleyville Police Department has officially closed its investigation, with no further action or charges, into allegations of abuse involving a child in the Lamb family. The original police report filed several years ago alleged that an unidentified classmate of the child committed the alleged abuse. In November 2024, media reports surfaced, falsely accusing another Lamb family member identified as Pete in the reporting of committing the alleged abuse. Daystar fully cooperated with law enforcement's investigation. In addition, Pete denied any wrongdoing and he voluntarily agreed to be interviewed by the Colleyville Police Department. Pete also voluntarily sat for and passed 2 separate lie detector tests performed by 2 independent, highly experienced experts. No evidence has ever existed implicating Pete in any crime, and no charges are being brought against Pete. The absence of any evidence of any wrongdoing by Pete is underscored with the closing of this investigation, which further confirms there was never any mishandling as falsely argued by some on social media on the part of Daystar and its leadership. As it has said from day one, Daystar Television Network takes all allegations of sexual misconduct very seriously. We grieve for and give credence to the voice of every victim of abuse. In this matter, however, there is simply no evidence that any alleged abuse was ever committed by Pete. Although saddened by those who were led to believe the gossip, rumors, and false accusations promulgated on social media, Daystar appreciates the love and support it has received from countless viewers and ministry partners and will continue in its mission to spread the good news of Jesus Christ around the world.
Upon coming across this particular post shared on Daystar's X handle, an intense wave of curiosity sweeps over me, prompting an immediate and eager reaction. Without a moment's hesitation, I swiftly navigate to the comments section, eager to delve into the array of responses and perspectives offered by others. My mind races with anticipation, wondering what thoughts, opinions, and discussions have unfolded beneath the post. With great enthusiasm, I prepare to explore the depth of engagement within the comments section, hoping to uncover insightful remarks, intriguing debates, or even unexpected humor among the reactions.
At CandyChand 11. This is not what the police said. They have only temporarily suspended the case, until they receive further evidence. Pete was not exonerated. Also, Daystar lawyers pressured the police to do this today. Mainstream and social media articles incoming. At Gina E. 1971. Pete was not exonerated, nor did the closing of the case prove there wasn't any mishandling on the part of Daystar leadership. As for the lie detector tests that Daystar leadership loves to talk about, those tests are inadmissible in court due to the fact that they can be. At Overit 765. You are full of shit. God don't like ugly. Something like a camel through the eye of a needle. You, Jimmy Evans, and Robert Morris are on borrowed time. You may profess innocence, but I promise you don't sleep as well as at night as you want us to think you do. At Marnie G0720. What the hell, and I do mean hell, is wrong with you people? It is temporarily closed due to pressure from Daystar attorneys. Josh was not cleared. They are waiting on Baby Lamb. At Jill Bartlett 08. How does? At Daystar Joanie have the nerve to post this drivel? We know the case was suspended until further evidence is uncovered. And it will be uncovered. This post will not age well. I'm here for it.
Looking at these comments and many others, I can't help but wonder about the future of Daystar Television Network. Right now, it feels like a big question mark, uncertain and unpredictable. There's a lot unfolding, and it's hard to tell what direction things will go. Time will definitely reveal more, but for now, the situation seems up in the air. But that's not our focus right now, so get comfortable as we dive into today's topic.
So in 2020, there was an incident that took place at my granddaughter's school, and Susie called me, and she said, will you go down to the school with me? And I said, absolutely. So we went together to the school, we reported it to the school, and my granddaughter had told her mother that a little boy had touched her and her friend inappropriately, okay? And so that was never written about, that I went with her or that there was another little girl involved. And so Susie and I reported it to the school, and I talked to my granddaughter, and Susie had asked me to ask her what happened. And so I did, but my granddaughter didn't want to talk, so I didn't push it, but I was fully supportive of her. So that happened in 2020, and a police report was filed. Okay.
And you saw the interview. She didn't tell me that you went down with her to the school or anything like that. So
Right. I didn't get to see the whole interview, but I absolutely went to the school with her.
So that was interesting. She made it sound like she talked to after she went to the school, when clearly I took her to my mom's house. She went into the house to talk with my mom privately, and my mom confirmed that she said everything that she had told Susie about the abuse. So now she's lying to say that I didn't actually tell her anything, and that happened.
So I was in the main area because Jonathan and our room was over there on that first floor. There's a basement below where Marcus and Joanie were. There's a game room area down there, and that's where they were. So we finished breakfast, and Pete had the baby. Again, we protect. My heart is to always protect the identity of a baby or a child that does not need to be mentioned. Obviously, they took that, and I thought they'd be happy, but it's okay. This innocent little life was there in one arm, and he was doing something in the kitchen, and I was talking to my daughter, and she said, Mommy, I want to go swim. And I said, okay, go upstairs, put on your swimsuit, come back to Mommy. And the second I said that, his eyes just kind of got big, and he goes, and he started to follow her. Yes, that baby was right there, and he just started to follow. The baby was a non-factor.
Daystar announced today that, after a thorough investigation, the Colleyville Police Department has officially closed its case regarding allegations of abuse involving a child in the Lamb family. No further action or charges will be taken. Back in 2024, Jonathan Lamb, Joanie Lamb's son, and his wife, Susie, spoke with the Roy's Report, claiming that a family member known as Pete had sexually abused their daughter. Pete has denied the allegations. The couple recalled an incident from the summer of 2021, when they allegedly found Pete alone with their unclothed daughter in a room at a beach house rented by Daystar for its annual executive retreat in Miramar Beach, Florida. They say they confronted him at the time. Later, their daughter reportedly disclosed that she had been abused. When Susie Lamb brought this to Joanie Lamb's attention, she claimed she was discouraged from reporting it to the police. Joanie Lamb allegedly requested a private meeting with her granddaughter, and after that meeting, the child stopped talking about the abuse. Daystar Television Network has reiterated its stance on the allegations surrounding Joanie Lamb's granddaughter, emphasizing that the original police report pointed to a preschool classmate as the alleged perpetrator. In a statement released Wednesday, the network addressed the controversy, stating that media reports in November 2024 falsely accused a Lamb family member, publicly known as Pete. According to Daystar, Pete fully cooperated with law enforcement, voluntarily speaking with the Colleyville Police Department. The statement also highlighted that Pete passed 2 separate lie detector tests conducted by independent experts. Daystar firmly maintained that no evidence has ever linked Pete to any crime, and no charges have been filed against him. The network stressed that the closure of the investigation further supports their position that there was no mishandling of the situation, despite claims circulating on social media. Reaffirming its commitment to addressing allegations of sexual misconduct seriously, Daystar expressed sympathy for victims of abuse while asserting that, in this particular case, there is no evidence to support the accusations against Pete. The Colleyville Police Department has officially closed its investigation into allegations involving Joanie Lamb's granddaughter, citing insufficient evidence to proceed. According to Services Sergeant Dara Nelson, the victim has not made an outcry, and detectives found no evidence of a crime during their Inquiry 1. However, Nelson emphasized that in Texas, there is no statute of limitations for sexual assault of a child, meaning the case could be reopened if new evidence emerges. Following Daystar Television Network statement on Wednesday, Susie Lamb took to X to clarify that Pete had not been exonerated.
The bottom line is that there is no statute of limitations on CSA in Texas. The case is closed at this time but can be reopened at any time a declaration is made by the victim or even a first-hand witness to the assault comes forward. There is no exoneration in the closure. It's more like cold case status. Daystar is stretching the truth. Susie Lamb at Susicat Lamb. Thankful for a wonderful detective who truly cared for us. He hugged us and said he wants justice for our child and would even get out of retirement if she speaks then. This formality of closing the case till there is more evidence is a blessing. Our family can heal and rest until it is time for justice. My heart is overwhelmed with peace. I know the liars will twist this simple truth to make it look like they are innocent and may fool some people, but they can't fool God and the truth will always conquer.
She explained that cases without new evidence are closed as a formality but can be reopened if the victim speaks up or new information comes to light. She expressed confidence that her child would eventually come forward, at which point the case would be revisited. Meanwhile, investigative journalist Julie Roys shared a letter from Daystar's attorney, Michael D. Anderson.
Juvenile Record Restricted Access. Colleyville Police Department. Offense Report. ORI. TX 2204000. Incident. CAD number 2000249697. UCR status unfounded INV. Status unfounded FAM. Vile. No description. Sexual assault child. Other no. Juvenile incident. Incident number 20CP057235. Clear. Date 12/02/2020. Report by Zablosky, a number 236 Investigator Garcia, N. Number 226. Dispatch location 5201 Riverwalk Drive, Colleyville. Offense number 1. Off. Begin date January 1, 2020. Midnight. Drug seized. No. Offense code 22.011A. 2L/DF2. Criminal audited by Valdez, S. number 248, November 6, 2020. Page 1. June 21, 2024. Date occurred January 6, 2020, 12 o'clock. EXC clear. Approve. By Eason, D. Number 202. Recorded date November 6, 2020. November 6, 2020.
Demanding that the Roys report retract or correct its reporting or face legal action. Anderson claimed that the publication had made false statements without any factual basis, alleging that Jonathan and Susie Lamb had orchestrated a smear campaign against Daystar. Daystar Television Network has made it clear that it is prepared to take legal action against the Roys report if the publication does not retract or correct its articles. In response, the Roys report pushed back, stating that it disagrees with Daystar's legal arguments and will not be making any changes to its reporting. Attorney Christine Jones defended the publication's journalistic integrity, emphasizing that Daystar had been given ample opportunity to respond to the allegations. Meanwhile, Joanie Lamb has alleged that her son, Jonathan Lamb, and his wife, Susie, resurfaced the abuse claims after Jonathan's unsuccessful attempt to secure the presidency of
Jonathan and Susie Lamb agree that someone's lying, but they say it's not them. And today they join me to set the record straight. Welcome to the Roys Report, a podcast dedicated to reporting the truth and restoring the church. I'm Julie Roys. According to the Lambs, in 2020, their daughter graphically described her SA. Then, a few months later, Jonathan Lamb found Pete in a room with their naked daughter. But when they reported Pete to Joanie Lamb and her late husband, Marcus Lamb, the couple wouldn't hear it. And without any investigation, Marcus and Joanie declared Pete was innocent, Jonathan and Susie say. Later, when Jonathan and Susie refused to drop the issue, Marcus and Joanie commissioned an investigation which they said cleared Pete. But 2 years later, Jonathan and Susie say they discovered that was a lie.
She pointed to an email in which Jonathan proposed a contract that would guarantee his future leadership role while restricting Joanie's ability to make employment decisions without board approval. In exchange, he reportedly offered to withhold audio recordings that could be damaging to Daystar and their family. Jonathan Lamb, however, maintains that his request was based on his late father's succession plan, which outlined that he would take over as president if Joanie retired or passed away.
Jonathan's disappointment in not getting his way only deepened when I married Dr. Doug Weiss, who has been such a blessing to me, the rest of my family, and Daystar. I can tell you that as a mother, as a grandmother, this situation saddens me deeply, and it grieves my heart because I love my family. I love all my children. I love my grandchildren. I love the work we've done together for so many years. And I had hoped that we could have resolved the situation in private. But now, Jonathan has given me no choice except to speak out.
He claims his email was a response to conditions Daystar set for him and Susie to regain their positions after being fired. Joanie Lamb also suggested that her son's frustration deepened after she married Christian counselor and sex therapist Doug Weiss. She accused Jonathan of attempting to blackmail his way into the presidency, stating that she refuses to submit to threats. Expressing sadness over the situation, she said she had hoped to resolve the matter privately but felt compelled to speak out. Joanie Lamb, co-founder and president of Daystar Television Network, has strongly denied allegations from her son, Jonathan Lamb, and his wife, Susie, that she covered up the sexual abuse of their daughter by a family member. She maintains that her granddaughter had actually accused a preschool classmate of inappropriate behavior. During an episode of Joanie Table Talk on Tuesday, Lamb firmly rejected the claims, calling them absolutely a lie.
His wife is truly heartbreaking. I want to assure you that all the allegations that are circulating against myself and my late husband are completely false. We have already begun to take legal steps to defend ourselves, and we will address the accusations in a God-honoring way.
She insisted that neither she nor her late husband, Marcus Lamb, who passed away in November 2021, had ever concealed any wrongdoing. Lamb criticized the allegations as a false narrative created by a blogger attempting to damage her family's reputation. Meanwhile, investigative journalist Julie Roys shared a letter on X from Daystar's attorney, Michael D. Anderson, reiterating demands for the Roys Report to retract or correct its articles by Friday or face legal action. Anderson accused the publication of spreading false statements without factual basis, alleging that Jonathan and Susie Lamb had orchestrated a smear campaign against Daystar.
She does mention it on the second one. I'd like to play the second clip because what I'm noticing is that the story, as more things are coming out, is beginning to change a little bit.
So in 2020, there was an incident that took place at my granddaughter's school. And Susie called me and she said, will you go down to the school with me? And I said, absolutely. So we went together to the school. We reported it to the school, and my granddaughter had told her mother that a little boy had touched her and her friend inappropriately. Okay. And so that was never written about, that I went with her or that there was another little girl involved. And so Susie and I reported it to the school, and I talked to my granddaughter, and Susie had asked me to ask her what happened. And so I did, but my granddaughter didn't want to talk, so I didn't push it. But I was fully supportive of her. So that happened in 2020, and a police report was filed. Okay.
And you saw the interview. She didn't tell me that you went down with her to the school or anything like that. So
Right. I didn't get to see the whole interview, but I absolutely went to the school with her.
So that was interesting. She made it sound like she talked to after she went to the school, when clearly I took her to my mom's house. She went into the house to talk with my mom privately. And my mom confirmed that she said everything that she had told Susie about the abuse. So now she's lying to say that didn't actually tell her anything, and that happened after we went to the school. So she changed her story completely.
Yeah, she doesn't necessarily specify, but it does sound that way in the way that she says it. I went back and wanted to just quote what I wrote was, initially, Susie thought the perpetrator was someone at her daughter's school, but she discovered the school didn't employ any men. It's not like we were trying to hide something. It was just very clearly a part of the narrative.
The Roy's report cannot escape liability for the false statements it published. In the event that the Roy's report does not retract or correct the articles, Daystar and Ms. Lamb are fully prepared to initiate litigation against the Roy's report for its tortious conduct. Responding on Tuesday, an attorney for the Roy's report wrote a letter to Anderson stating that they disagree with his citation of case law and would leave arguments to another day if Daystar pursues litigation. Further, the letter reiterates that the Roy's report will not make any changes to the articles. TRR has now afforded your client ample opportunities to provide substantive responses to the allegations reported in the articles, attorney Christine Jones wrote. And, as you know, TRR did publish Daystar's singular, perfunctory response to TRR's detailed request for comment in the form of an email sent on November 19, 2024, in Article 1. It cannot be said that TRR has published any statements with knowledge that such statements are false, or with reckless disregard as to their potential falsity. Rather, at all times, TRR has operated with the utmost journalistic integrity, both in investigating and reporting all discernible perspectives on these matters of grave public import. When asked about Joanie Lamb's response to her reporting on Thursday, Royce told the Christian Post that the Daystar president's response is incomplete. Beyond the apparent contradiction we reported in our article today, I think the video discussion is most notable for the questions the women don't ask and Joanie doesn't answer. For example, no one asks Joanie about her alleged one-on-one meeting with Jonathan and Susie's daughter the morning after the girl reportedly told her mother she'd been abused. Why did Joanie want to meet with the girl one-on-one? Royce asked. And can Joanie explain why the girl reportedly won't talk about the alleged abuse since meeting with Joanie? Also, Joanie claims the incident at the beach house with Pete was resolved soon after it occurred. If that's true, why was there an internal investigation? Also, the forensic counselor who conducted that investigation claims Joanie and Marcus shut down the investigation before the counselor was able to conduct a decent interview with Pete, she insisted. Does Joanie deny she did that? If not, why did she and Marcus shut it down? I asked Daystar many specific questions about the allegations, but so far, they've responded only to the questions they wish to discuss. There are many more questions that beg to be answered. In explaining what she recalls of the events that were used to suggest Pete's abuse of her granddaughter, Joanie Lamb claims the events have been twisted into a smear campaign against her and Daystar, which claims to reach 6.85 billion people worldwide and is in 2.3 billion homes. My first knowledge of any allegation of abuse was in November of 2020, and Susie called me and said there had been an incident at my granddaughter's preschool. And she told me that something had happened where a little boy touched her and her friend. And so she called me and asked me would I go to the school with her, Joanie Lamb recalled. I said, absolutely. So I went with her to the school. We reported it to the school, and of course, I was there to encourage and as I would for any child, but especially my granddaughter, she said. That was the incident that happened, and yet what's being written is just taken out of context. I was there and Susie actually called me to go there. So this word about you covering up, there's no truth to that. After that 2020 episode, Jonathan and Susie Lamb told the Roy's report that in the summer of 2021, they caught Pete alone with their unclothed daughter in a room at a beach house Daystar rented for its annual executive retreat in Miramar Beach, Florida, and confronted him about it. They alleged that their daughter later revealed that she was sexually abused. When Susie Lamb reported this to Joanie Lamb, she claimed she was told not to report it to the police. Joanie Lamb reportedly asked that her granddaughter be brought to her in a meeting alone, and after that meeting, the child stopped discussing the alleged abuse. "I don't know what happened there," Susie Lamb told TRR, "but she was like a lockbox. She doesn't remember one thing," Jonathan Lamb said. "She doesn't even remember having that conversation. It's like it never happened." The couple said they secretly reported their suspicions of the abuse to police, but the case was closed because their daughter wouldn't talk. Jonathan Lamb told Roy's that they took their daughter to a counselor in 2023 who reported the suspected abuse to Texas Child Protective Services. The couple says the police investigation was reopened, but no formal charges have been filed. Joanie Lamb said on Tuesday, however, that her son and daughter-in-law have conflated two separate incidents to feed a false narrative. She took particular aim at the claim that Pete was alone in a room with her granddaughter as she changed her clothes at a family retreat in 2021. "We were all staying in this house together, and again, we do that once a year, and my two older grandchildren were staying in an upstairs bedroom, and it was a long room. There was a bunk bed on one side, and there was another bunk bed on the other side, and so my grandson was talking about that. He had the city view, and he was saying his sister had the beach view. One afternoon he was talking about that, and who they call Pete was in the room holding a 1-year-old baby boy. So Pete says, 'Oh, so you've got the city view.' And everybody was talking about, 'Well, I'd rather have the beach view.' And my grandson said, 'No, I like the city view.' And Pete said, 'Well, I like the city view too,' and so he said, 'I want to see your city view.' Joanie Lamb said her grandson and Pete, along with the baby, all went to the room he shared with her granddaughter to look at the city view. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content.